Alligators, it's Hump Day Wednesday, and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I'm Al Reynolds, your judge, and you, the people, will be serving as the jury. Tonight on the Court of Public Opinion, we have two of our legal beagles, the fiery Shatan Turner. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, Your Honor. Hey, alligators.
And also joining us tonight is the one, the only girl is this legal civil attorney, Simone Redwine. Simone Redwine, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, y'all. Good to see you. I got my little Beyonce bun.
I see your picture just keeps getting better and better. Oh, my goodness, I forgot. From Dr. L in the classroom to Dr. Reynolds in the courtroom. Let me take my name badge off. I was teaching today. Anyway, be sure to break out those emojis. We have the red wine emoji for Simone Redwine, Counselor Redwine. We have the fire emoji for Counselor Turner, and don't forget to throw in some of those fax emojis for me, Al Reynolds, the judge. Now, here in the Court of Public Opinion, you serve as the jury, so your voice can and will be heard. So don't forget to drop down in the comments and help us break these cases down with good questions that we can answer for you. As always, please hit that like button because our likes just don't be liking. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Also, turn on your notifications because we got some good stuff coming up soon. And last but not least, like I said, you can serve as a jury member here by jumping down in those comments and sharing with us what you think about the show. All right, as we get started in the show tonight, court is now in session. First up, Polo G. Oh my goodness. Rapper Polo G, born Taurus Bartlett, was arrested for violating California Penal Code 25400A1PC, which involves the felony possession of a concealed weapon in a vehicle. Now, under the California law, this is a serious offense, and a conviction for this charge can result not only incarceration, which could be 3 years in state prison, but also fines, probation, and maybe a federal charge as well. Let's go to you first, Attorney Shatan Turner, and tell me what's going on with Polo G.
Polo G has made a mistake, perhaps one that some of the alligators have made, which is had a concealed weapon in a place where wasn't supposed to have one, and now he's in a heap of trouble.
So, then what? But let's go to you, Attorney Redwine. Now, we know that this just isn't a simple incident for Polo G, because both Polo G was back in August 2023 arrested, right? The discovery in his home was that there were numerous firearms during a police search of his home, and his subsequent arrest for possession of short-barreled rifles. And I don't know why that's significant, but also in April 2024, he had an arrest in New York City where Polo G's arrested in New York for criminal possession of a firearm, which put him on probation. So what does this actually mean to be caught in multiple states? And he clearly was still on probation.
It means he's going to jail. He's going to jail. He's going to jail. And here's why. See, and there are some states such as Texas, where I'm based, where you can have a weapon in your home. You know, you're allowed to protect your home. But in states like California and New York, they have special rules and regulations. You have to have a license, etc. And his problem is he has not been following the rules. In addition, at his level of celebrity, and I'll be honest, I don't know who the hell this man is, but you're literally, when you're in places like California and New York, you're supposed to pay someone else who is licensed to carry to come with you, be your bodyguard. They can be plain clothes, etc. But yes, his issue is when you catch a charge when you're already on probation for the same doggone thing, but for another state, you're probably going to get the book thrown at you in both locations.
Right. And you know, the funny thing here, Shatan, I want you to lean in here. California is probably one of the most strict states as it relates to a firearm, and so is New York. So these are the two places that he absolutely should not have done this, because in both California and in New York, they both have mandatory minimum sentencing laws. So my question here is, when you do it in multiple states, can you face consecutive sentences at the same time?
Yes. So his lawyer is going to have to try to negotiate to get them all handled together in a federal court, because he's got all of these separate charges. If he's not able to do that, then he's going to have to do them separately in state courts, which is going to be a hassle for everyone. It's, as Attorney Redwine indicated, for him, the biggest thing is he was already under the legal system for something related to similar charges. And so what you're trying to do when you're on probation or on parole, right, is to not engage in the same activity that got you in trouble, because that's the behavior you've already been told not to do by a judge. And so judges take it very seriously when somebody basically gives them the finger and says, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. Judges don't like it. They take pleasure in throwing the book at people because of it, because it's like, I am the judge. Like, I'm not saying the judges are narcissists, but I'm saying that with that position comes an expectation that people do what they're told them to do. And if when the people don't, they exercise that power in a way that says nobody else better come up here doing the same kind of foolishness.
So let me ask you this: would these be federal charges?
Well, no, because they're state law charges that he is accused of, but they might be able to combine them in a way that could get managed by another court if they could exercise diversity jurisdiction, which just means it's happening in other states. So, but he has separate state violations in both New York and in California that have to get dealt with.
And let me just clarify what Polo Tink Tink did. I just need to demonstrate how stupid he is. All right. So what happened in New York was, he, in his hotel room, he had a loaded Glock. He had a loaded Glock. He left it absolutely visible. One of the housekeeping staff saw it, was terrified, and notified the hotel. The hotel notified the authorities. The authorities came and got it. And that's how that happened over there. So he keeps doing this dumb-ish, but wanting smart people results. Now, what'll likely happen is he's going to get sentenced in the first state, and then he could also get sentenced in the other state, whichever goes to court first. And he'll likely run his sentences concurrently, meaning at the same damn time.
Wow, you know what I want to know is, because I was reading somewhere that he may not be a U.S. citizen. I want to check on that, because the state of California has strict immigration laws, right, that prevent individuals with felonies from going in and out of the state. I don't know if it's definitely not.
Wait, so that's not immigration, but I know what you're talking about. It's felon in possession. I looked at his charges though. And it doesn't appear that he's a felon in possession, because they tag that charge on. That's the first thing you're going to be charged.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's one of the ones that's got the 10-year minimum sentence. Yeah.
Got it.
Or 5 years.
What I was worried about was, if he's not allowed to go in certain states and move around, that means he can't perform. He can't go get his money. So he's not even thinking, with all these repeat gun charges, he could actually be restricted from going to certain states that have booked him for $100,000 appearance to come do some type of program.
Yeah, he's not gonna get that much money, but yes. And in fact, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because with Cardi B, when Cardi B had her situation where she told her homegirls to go beat up that girl that was cheating with Offset at the stripper club at the titty park. Part of the issue was, that's one of those you could quickly negotiate a probation sentence, because Cardi didn't have a record. But it wasn't that simple in her case, because she travels in every state. And if she would have negotiated the probation that was initially offered, if she would have accepted that offer, she would not be able to travel out of state to do her performances. So you're absolutely right. Wow. That is a probation condition that can be completely prohibitive. And we know he don't make a lot of money right now, but that would be even more prohibitive.
Right down the road. All right, good point. All right, everybody.
He is facing, to your point, a felony now. And so depending on the outcome of this, as Attorney Wedrine indicated, the issue you presented might be the one that's before him as he's considering his options. So, Polo G, we don't know who you are, but we're sure your fans love you. So get a good lawyer that can help you get out of this in a way that allows you to keep traveling unarmed.
The shade is real. Okay, everybody, the shade is real tonight on the Court of Public Opinion. All right, next up, Mike Jeffries, former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. Oh my gosh, I used to work there. Is facing serious legal charges for sex trafficking and interstate prostitution. The legal ramifications of this situation are complex and severe because the allegations are implicating not just Jeffries, but his associates Matthew Smith and James Jacobson. They are being accused of organizing and running a sex trafficking operation from 2008 to 2015. All right, what I thought was really interesting about this case, I'm going to go to you, Attorney Redwine, first, but I want to talk about how this is back in New York State. Attorney Shatan Turner said that it's not in the Southern District, but it is in the West or the East?
Eastern.
It's in the Eastern District. However, the charges are very similar to P. Diddy. However, in this particular case, he was bonded out. He has bonded out with an ankle bracelet and $10 million. Attorney Simone Redwine, break this down. And this case is so bad, it's possibly turning into a class action lawsuit. That's telling you how many little boys he has taken advantage of. Okay, when I say little boys, not saying they're under 18. Guys, excuse me, allegedly. Why is his sentence not like Diddy's sentence?
Gotcha. Yes. The bond restrictions. Okay. So first, I want to just clarify we know what he's charged with. Okay. So Jeffries and his gay lover allegedly coerced and seduced these men who wanted to be, and they're all supposed to be over 18, who wanted to be models for Abercrombie, because Abercrombie was stuff. You want to model for us? You want to make it in the industry? Well, pull out your dick is basically what he was saying. Okay.
Oh my gosh, order at the court.
Pull out your dick.
No more hormone shots for you.
Sorry, guys. I blame Kind Body, my fertility clinic. I'm sorry, but you get it. No, he literally. And here's what was interesting is that another component of it is that there were parties. Okay, so he is alleged that Jeffries and two associates, one of being his gay lover, were arrested on sex trafficking and interstate prostitution charges. Mm-hmm. The New York prosecutor said Jeffries was arrested in Palm Beach. Now, they ordered that he be confined to his home, et cetera, et cetera. But what was happening is there were parties in England, France, Italy, St. Bart's. I love that place. New York and the Hamptons. Okay. And he's flying these men out. So these men are getting flued out once they get there. Okay. Whoop out your dick. Then we're going to strand you here. We're not going to get you back. We're going to ruin your careers. Now,
if you don't.
And that is distinctly different from beating you up, slapping you around. So I want to be clear because on my channel, I had previously talked about is that coercion or is that I'm making a career choice? And here the prosecutor has said it's coercion and it's a crime.
Now, what I also thought was interesting is that they face one count of sex trafficking, but they face 15 counts of interstate prostitution. Can you break that down? How do they decide? How did they decide? Is it 15 because that's the different places that it happened?
Yeah. That's my understanding, that it's the different locations where incidents occurred, and that's how you get those other 15. And now I also wanted to reference the disparity in the bond conditions.
Now hold that 1 second, because I know you're gonna make this good. Okay, but interstate prostitution, don't you have to be selling the dick?
You got to go you just got to transport somebody from one city to another. And it has to be across state lines or out of the country.
Doesn't somebody have to be paid to be considered a prostitute?
No, you can coerce them. You could say because giving up booty, right? Giving up some bussy in exchange to be coerced to do that in exchange for them actually not paying. Like I'm not going to pay for your bussy. In exchange, I'm coercing you to do this because I'm going to prevent your career. That's sufficient. So there doesn't have to be like a cash exchange. It
God,
has to
that's
be a
what I
form
was
of coercion and doing something against your will. That's what makes it prostitution.
Thank you for. All right, so go ahead. I'm sorry. Now
Yeah.
we were talking about the comparison between this case and Diddy.
All right. So the big difference here is now they both had to put up their passports. He offered 10 million, Diddy offered 50. Of course, the first distinction is these are two different courts. This is the Eastern District. The other one is Damian Williams in the Southern. But the main one is there's been no obstruction of justice allegations.
Ah,
See, with Diddy, remember, Diddy had obstruction of justice because number one, with the Cassie video, he made that go away. That's the destruction of evidence. That was in real time. We have evidence of that, right? In
right,
addition, it was tampering with witnesses. When he
right.
called that girl Kalina, he called Miss Thing 54 times in the week prior to when she was supposed to testify, give testimony to a federal agent. And in one day, called her, I think it was 44 times or 54 times. Those things are tampering with, and that's just two. So
Right.
the expectation is that by keeping Diddy in the jail, in the federal detention center, and I like to call it jail, a detention center, that sounds like that could be a little bit of anything, okay? It sounds like a holding cell for naughty kids, you know, who were cussing at school. This is a jail. Holding him at that jail is to prevent, because they'll be able to record the calls, and they believe they will be able to prevent him from obstructing justice in the way of tampering with witnesses or making evidence disappear.
All right. That's just some good stuff. Thank you. Now, let me go to you, Attorney Turner. As it relates to this case, what I also found fascinating is that these individuals also have the ability on the civil side to sue Abercrombie and Fitch, the company, correct? Because they are saying that the company itself during all those years turned a blind eye to the president's behavior. Is this true?
Absolutely. So, as the U.S. attorney who's handling the case said in a press conference, to anyone who thinks they can exploit and coerce others by using the casting couch, this case should be a warning. Prepared to trade that couch for a bed in federal prison. So that's he basically made the case for those who wanted to sue civilly, because when he started talking about the casting couch, right, Mr. Jeffries didn't have a personal platform that he was trying to leverage. He was trying to leverage his position as the CEO of Abercrombie to entice or coerce these people to engage in these sexual acts so that they could have some sort of exposure through the enterprise. Once you throw the enterprise in there, then you're able to sue. And quite frankly, as Attorney Redwine has talked about on many occasions, if you're talking about like insurance coverage, what you want to do is go after the big deep pockets, and Abercrombie has the deep pockets, even though Mr. Jeffries makes a lot of money.
All right, so guys,
it's
stick
quid
with
pro
me
quo, basically, is what you'd be arguing in your civil case, that but for I'm having, engage in these sex acts, whatever they are, then I don't get the modeling job that you promised me.
All right, guys, stick with me right here for a second because I'm about to be messy, and I know Simone's going to love this. So listen to this, guys. So the plaintiffs, the allegations include claims that some victims were drugged or forced to engage in sexual acts without their consent. How did they do it? They also claim that they were forced to use poppers and forced to inject an erection-inducing substance in order for some of the models to maintain an erection because they are not attracted to men.
Talk about
please tell me what's going on here.
Seeing as how I once had a boyfriend who was about 49% gay, I feel like I'm an expert on this topic. That was one of the most egregious allegations. You're going to drug me up so that I can give you some dick, and I don't even want to? Like, that absolutely is coercion on the worst level. And
can you get assault? Can you get assault? Because that means, I don't know. I don't ask me how I know this, everybody. But you have to take a needle. You fill it with a composite of stuff, and you shoot it directly into your penis.
Oh no.
Now, if it's done against your will, that's assault with a deadly weapon. No?
Absolutely, it should be assault. So it sounds like, so you also have to know the time frame that they're dealing with is 2008 to 2015, and that's 2015 is 10 years ago. I believe that the statute of limitations for assault likely passed, but trafficking has not. So
The racketeering.
Yes. So it could be. Well, this was sex trafficking. I don't believe this is RICO, but the issue is.
No, this is RICO. It says the charges describe an organized criminal enterprise which could subject the defendants to racketeering charges.
Okay, gotcha. Well, for each of those things, both the racketeering and sex trafficking, those statute of limitations are still valid. They're still in play, even for things that happen that old. But for just a standalone assault, that would have expired. Under federal law, assault would be approximately like 5 years, or it would need to be brought on state charges. And again, the statute of limitations would have lapsed on state charges. But that's likely why that same victim, though, would bring allegations. They could include that assault in their civil charges against Abercrombie and against Jeffries.
Now, let me ask you something. This is very interesting, attorneys, my legal beagles. If I was Diddy, I would want to go on trial before this guy goes on trial.
Right? Why is that?
Right, because look, this guy is up for, he has multiple counts, and he's up for 20 years in prison for each count, alongside asset forfeiture and financial penalties. So all I'm saying is, precedents, you know what I mean? Precedents is huge in New York, the state of New York. So if he goes to prison for a significant amount of years, and he's forced to give up all his assets, Diddy's not going to get off easy.
That's true. Oh, yeah, because I see what you're saying. Whatever he's going to get, people would want to give it way worse to Diddy because Diddy's actually different.
Wow.
I hear you.
That's
good point. Ooh.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rocket Mortgage, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. The lawsuit against Rocket Mortgage and two appraisal firms involves allegation of discriminatory practices that violate the Fair Housing Act, which is a federal law designed to prevent housing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, or national origin. Rocket Mortgage has been accused of lowballing appraisals for Black homeowners. Jeez. Apparent racial bias. They believe that when you came in, if you were Black, you were going to automatically be denied. And they went under a HUD, which is the Housing of Urban Development investigation, and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development determined that Rocket Mortgage and their appraisal firms engaged in discriminatory practices. Woo! Attorney Turner, talk to us about the trouble that Rocket Mortgage is in and what is the restitution? Because I'm sure there are a ton of algoriters or individuals who have done business with them, tried to do business with them. They also, if you were African American, they accelerated your foreclosure if you defaulted. So if you missed a payment, instead of letting you miss 2 or 3 or 4, they would accelerate your foreclosure. Tell me, what can algoriters do, or what does this mean when companies like this are found guilty of racial discrimination practices?
So the race discrimination in the housing industry goes back a long ways, and there's a really interesting documentary on PBS called Race that does a deep dive into that history and kind of traces it back to the discriminatory practices with the GI loans and how that has led to the disparities in wealth generation for African Americans as opposed to white people. As it relates to Rocket Mortgage, this is 2024. And what this case illustrates is that it ain't over yet, right? So one thing, my family and I model sometimes, and the agency that we go through actually is soliciting actors to go and try to pose as renters because they've been hired by the government to try to smoke some of this out because this discrimination remains real. In this case,
Wow.
yes, yes. So in this case, as you've noticed, Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968. After the Civil Rights of 1964, it was designed to eradicate exactly what we're seeing here. The plaintiff in this case is saying that Rocket Mortgage lowballed the value of her home in an appraisal. And then it would have resulted in her in refinancing not being able to take as much money out. But then the whole thing like fell apart after she started complaining about it. And so she's like, you know what, this is nonsense. I'm just going to sue you and figure out what happened. So for algoritors, I would say be astute. Pay attention to things that don't make sense. Like if you were talking to somebody about buying a home or renting an apartment and they're all gung-ho, and then after you show up and they see you, the tune changes, like it's no longer available for rent, it's no longer for sale. You need to investigate and potentially get an attorney, or you can just complain directly to the federal government about it, to HUD, and to have them help you with this sort of thing. It actually deeply saddens my heart because, you know, this is election season, right? One of the candidates is talking about her plan to help people buy homes because it's recognized that home ownership is one of the ways to get people out of, you know, poverty and to help them accumulate wealth. And so the fact that this company that has all these commercials, right, has been trying to attract everybody is secretly trying to marginalize certain communities and not allow them to take their part of the American dream. You know, I don't know what's going to happen to them, but I hope bad things do.
Simone, let me ask you this, Attorney Redwine. Like, come on. Can we get a break? I mean, we get pulled over for driving while black. Now we can't get a home for what, trying to live while being black? What I thought was so interesting about this case was that when certain African Americans did complain, you know what they did? They canceled their loan application. And they told them we could no longer service you. Mm-hmm. Like, what can't that alone be retaliation?
Of course it is. But here's the thing. I want to be very clear about something. In this election, we got two candidates. And the male candidate said he wants to do away with HUD. He wants to do away with all the regulatory agencies. It was HUD that did an investigation that found this practice to exist, and that's putting them to task. So if you elect that male candidate, this is going to go unchecked. There will be no relief and no justice for these people. Secondly, I want to give two quick tips. So I own a title company. It's called Experience Title. If you have a real estate closing anywhere in the state of Texas, go to my website here, SimoneRedwine.com, call my office, and we will happily take care of your closing. And my family is owned, my mother's a real estate professor and broker. And I remember being a little girl going to closings with her. And we would be at her clients, our black clients' homes, and we would be hiding the family photos. We would be hiding anything that was too black. If you got the picture of them praying hands on the wall and them was some black hands, sorry, love the Lord.
You had to take it down.
We had to take that down too. Anything that made it look like a black residence, you had to take it down because you would get a lower appraisal, or some people just simply wouldn't want to buy the house. And finally, there is an entity that was actually created as a result of prior lawsuits for this same type of thing. It was actually from redlining. That entity is called NACA. It's the NACA. So if you're in the market, if you want to get a home, you can actually already own one home if you're willing to sell that home and get into your other one. NACA was created to help Black people get into homes, into zip codes with high price homes.
Yeah, right.
Yes, okay. Where there's redlining. So check it out. That's one area of relief. So what I am hoping for here is that in addition to fining Rocket Mortgage, that they then force them after the fact to do specialized lending programs for us, because that is also an additional form of remedy that could be on the table.
Right. All right. I have a confession, and tell me, is this an illegal practice? So when I was a private banker, as a private banker, you have to do mortgages, you have to do business lines of credit, you have to do all types of loans, all type of financial vehicles to structure stuff. When it came to doing the mortgages, basically we were taught that you want to only cater to people with higher credit scores, because the way they trained us, right, without saying it, is higher credit scores, you could process them quicker and get paid quicker. Lower credit scores, you have to do more work, and it could be an or you would be on the line with getting an approval for financing of the different houses that we would go to get the financing done for the client. Is that illegal?
Which part?
Is that practice at the bank that I worked for? Is that illegal that the bank would basically teach us? We were such young bankers at the time. All we cared about was getting paid, right? So when we got the applications, we would only want the applications with the highest credit scores. And just traditionally, as you know, people of color usually have the lower credit scores.
Correct. So I think because they couched it as credit scores, they were better able to get away with it. But I also want to remind you, Kamala wants to get rid of the current credit score process. She feels like it's unfair. She feels like it's ridiculous. That things like paying your rent on time monthly should count. That should go into the calculation and blah, blah, blah. But the answer is the way they're able to get around that is because credit scores are not race-based. That's how they're able to do it.
Right. So for those who, I participate in Rental Karma. If anybody want this tidbit of information, Rental Karma is a site that you can sign up for, and you get credit on your credit score for every time that you pay your rent. And so for a lot of us, because your rent is a big portion, a large portion of income every month, it really does bring your credit score up if you start claiming it every month and it's paid on time. Just want to share that. Okay, go ahead, Attorney Turner.
Your Honor, I just wanted to point out, because I used to teach at the law school, and you brought up this interesting fact pattern that could go on a law school exam, because I agree with Attorney Redwine that ultimately it probably would be found to not be discriminatory, but there's a legal theory that people need to be aware of called disparate impact. And disparate impact means that there's a rule that is not discriminatory on its face. However, in application, it's discriminatory against a certain group of people. And so what I would do if I was representing those who were suing your former employer, I would assert that the credit score was a proxy for discrimination, that it was really designed to discriminate against people of color. It was not intended to be a risk assessment. Instead, it was designed to help them not lend money to people of color. It would be a long shot, but it's actually something that is worthwhile. And the thing is that like when I first started practicing in like the Stone Ages, it was a theory that didn't necessarily get as far, but now
we're getting leverage.
Right. And now that just like me too, right? I also used to practice employment law where there were all these NDAs and people had to keep quiet when somebody touched their tussie, right? But now people are because the NDAs are viewed to be against public policy. And so as it relates to the fact pattern that you mentioned about mortgages, I think it does deserve a second look by a good lawyer who could make a disparate impact claim and see where it goes.
Gotcha. All right. Excellent tonight, guys. I'm telling you, Hump Day Wednesday is bringing us all the facts in the legal.
I have a question.
Hold on, sir. You don't come in my court running things. Algoriters, please. Algoriters.
Your Honor. I had something to lay on the record.
Quiet. Order in my court. Algoriters, please welcome criminal defense attorney Brian Ross, who's late to court. Welcome to court, Brian Ross.
I noticed my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Vomit on my sweater.
Okay, Jason. That's Eminem. Okay, Eminem.
I was giving you a shout out to Eminem. Who Obama quoted Eminem's lyrics last night. I was showing you homage.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, everybody. Be sure to hit that like button because the likes aren't liking. Also, hit that subscribe button if you have not. If you are subscribed, hit that share button. Invite your friends over here to this infotainment because we're going to teach you the law one way or another. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications and drop down in those comments because we're going to get to your questions shortly. Next up in the court of public opinion, oh boy, guess what, everybody? P. Diddy is back in the court of public opinion. He has a lawsuit filed by John Doe saying that he was sexually assaulted by P. Diddy at a Ciroc party and that he was rescued by a professional athlete. Attorney Brian Ross, talk to us about this particular case, or Simone Redwine. Why don't you tee it up for us? And Brian, tell us, what does this mean for a criminal defense attorney to have all these cases starting to percolate in Diddy's circles?
Miss Redwine, obviously.
Yeah, I'll start it off. So basically, this John Doe, and I have to say, I'm really getting sick of the Jane and John Does. I believe that it's being inappropriately used by the Busby law firm, but that's another story. This gentleman claims that he was at a Diddy party, a Ciroc party, Ciroc party, and that he was, at the time, he was like, he sold jewelry and rented exotic cars. He was there doing that when Diddy ushered him into a private room. While in the room, Diddy basically groped his genitalia and groped himself and began to attack him. When this professional athlete comes into the room, walks in, and basically by him walking in, Diddy stopped.
Now, this is what's so interesting. The court documents say that Diddy whipped out his wing-a-ling.
Yes.
And then aggressively grabbed the John Doe.
Correct.
And was forcing himself on him. Attorney Brian,
it's like a knife match, like a little sword fight with like two dicks. Just
Attorney Brian,
is it like fencing competition, but with penises? Peni? What?
I don't understand. Attorney Rose, help me here from a criminal defense attorney's point of view. I'm not. I mean, it's assault. I mean, what?
It's absolutely assault. It's absolutely assault. And it's hard as it may be to believe. Assault between. See, what's not right is you told me to be serious just now, and she gets to be who she wants to be. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna take it personally. Okay, I came in here with some hot music, and it's fine. Men can assault men. It's 2024. It can occur.
Oh yeah,
hey, man. Yeah. I've been assaulted. I've been to LA Fitness and been assaulted. It's occurred. Okay, it can happen. All right. In this instance, this is a crazy case for Diddy because if the lawyer is able to subpoena the witness, the athlete,
right?
It's game over, man. It's game over, Diddy. I'm sorry. And Judge, can I ask the court to repeat what I've been saying since January?
Too many witnesses.
Too many witnesses. Not good.
That's if you look at all of the attorneys, put all four of us back up, guys. If you look at how we went from a period of, is anything going to come out? Remember, we were all in this waiting pattern. Why is Diddy still walking around? Why is he still out? Is anything going to come out? I really am watching this all unfold, and it's almost like they're all in cahoots.
Yes.
Doesn't it kind of seems like it's like okay, like I feel like the Attorney General's office did an amazing job of holding off until they got a whole bunch of stuff that they could start to introduce. And as they started to roll it out, they opened doors for other people to come in and add to what they are going to argue.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So they are actually getting proof, right, shown to the people for the cases, for the charges that they eventually will argue in the courts, right? And they are using situations like this. Like if that there's no way, in my opinion, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, they're going to be able to hide, if they subpoena that professional athlete, they're not going to be able to hide that professional athlete's his identity, right?
If they can get jurisdiction to serve him with the subpoena and compel him to appear, I mean,
right,
federal court. So yeah, it's going to be
it's
Indonesia.
Right. So it's almost
no
like
valid reason. He's a witness, right? He's not accused of anything. In fact, he's accused of helping. So there would actually be no valid reason to steal his identity in the case.
Snitches get stitches, though.
That's
right?
true.
You know, I hate to.
Oh, I believe this guy's gonna have amnesia. Whoever he was, he's gonna have amnesia.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
it was a Ciroc party. He was like, you know what? I was there for the alcohol, not for the baby oil. I just came in.
Exactly.
I didn't see the rough genitalia handling. I thought it was interesting that they described it as rough grabbing of the genitals with sexual intent or something. And I was like, what does that even feel like? It didn't.
Like, what was he?
That's how I do it.
Oh my gosh! What is wrong with that lady?
I get consent though. Nobody
Oh,
tells me
Apparently,
no.
her internet's working tonight, boy. Good
Think about
Lord.
this, Simone.
You
Simone,
orally?
Simone, I didn't even think about that. So you think the rough handling of the genitalia area could be Diddy trying to jerk the guy off? Allegedly?
Yes. Or himself. Correct. Either or.
Well, but
yeah,
he described how he felt. So he wasn't describing what Diddy was doing. He said it was something like rough grabbing of the genitalia with sexual intent. So I think you might be right. Maybe there was some of that involved. But I did have a question for Attorney Redwine because she says she gets consent.
I do.
Do you get consent orally? Or do you just get consent on a piece of paper?
Hell, years ago,
creative
like that. So that's early. Like when they go, That's
what I'm wondering.
It's deeper
Words, or is it in other ways?
You guys are so
because I've been out the game for a while, so I'm not sure how the baby oil comes out, but
I'll teach you.
Well, you better get back in the game, woman. You going through it. You got to find you a new man. You got a lot of kids.
Oh, and Leslie A asked, can he plead the fifth? Can he plead the fifth? As in the athlete that walked in and saw this. And the answer is no. You can't plead the fifth when you're a witness in a civil trial. You've done nothing criminally. There's no criminal accusations. You have to show up to that deposition. You have to testify. If you don't, you will be held in contempt and you could be jailed.
Wait, hold that thought for 1 second. We're gonna come back. Kitaran, hold that thought 1 second. We can come back to you because I want to hear what you got to say. But I do want to go to this question, Abby NYC, the MM family, because this is actually very serious, and you guys can address this. She says an erection is consent. Ooh. Can you guys please share how an erection is not consent?
Ryan, you weren't here in the show just yet, but we just talked about in the Jeffries case how he was injecting men to make them erect. So I think that's an example. But I mean, I don't really know how y'all's bodies work, but my expectation is like perhaps erections could also happen for nervousness, excitement. If it works like titties, I don't know. That's how cold you're cold.
Ryan, do you want to address this? Because I remember reading.
It's really. I mean, it's hard to follow up to both of them tonight. I clearly should have stopped making chicken dinner for my kids and shut up on time.
That was the question. How do you get an erection?
Well, no. So in the courts, in the courts, I'm not talking about this case, but in the courts, sexually assaulted kids or men who have come forward, the prosecutors or whoever was trying to say that it didn't happen said, well, your penis got hard. And if your penis got hard, that shows intent that you, in fact, wanted it. Or you know what I mean? So I wanted Brian, as a criminal defense attorney, to talk to us about how that's not allowed in court anymore these days.
Well, I was gonna. The answer is why? Because what's the admissible window? What's misleading? What's prejudicial? So it's misleading to say that because someone sustained an erection during an alleged assault, that they suddenly were complicit. It'd be the equal. I mean, we're getting into criminal law here, of a woman during a sexual assault or the R-word case saying that she was ready for the moment.
Right. That's right. I think someone just mentioned
the door swings both ways. But the argument that Diddy would make is, if I was his lawyer, is that actually this individual was complicit in this whole thing. He wanted to get involved. Like, he approached me. And the athlete came in and started
them. Yeah.
The other thing about the erection, though, is that if you get really granular and specific about what it takes for somebody to have sex, because we were talking about the R word, right? An erection doesn't necessarily mean an intent to use it. So to Simone's point, like the erection might occur for a variety of reasons, but the person's intent may have been not to penetrate or not to be touched. And so that gets into a whole level of specificity, but that's why the erection itself can't be viewed as consent, because it's not how one's body is responding that is the consent for the sexual act. It's what the brain, the volitional act of engaging in the sex.
Oh, this is so good. You guys.
I'm sorry.
What
about pleading the fifth, though, is I agree with Attorney Redwine, but I still think there's an argument to be made, because even though this is a Ciroc party, right? If we use the Diddy party as kind of the metaphor for all parties where Diddy was and was inappropriate, and he was an owner in Ciroc, we don't know what was going on outside of that office. And so perhaps the athlete pleads the fifth because they don't want to be implicated as a conspirator in other illegal acts that were happening. And so it might be something that their lawyer attempts just to stay out of it altogether.
Gotcha. Ooh. All right, hit that like button, guys.
Yes, can we get some y'all hit that like button? Only 94 likes, and we got close to 400 people joining us tonight. Come on, please. All right, Wiz Khalifa, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. And let me tell you, I don't know if you want to come in here today, tonight. In this situation, Wiz Khalifa acknowledges that he smoked marijuana on stage during a concert in Romania and expresses that he did not mean any disrespect to the country. However, Romania's drug laws are very strict as it relates to the use, possession, or distribution of marijuana. They say that marijuana in Romania follows strict drug control policies, and marijuana is classified as an illicit substance. So even small amounts of marijuana for personal use could lead to fines, imprisonment, and other legal consequences. Criminal defense attorney Brian Ross, what's going on here? And I also wanted to know, I asked the other attorneys, you were away when we were in the chambers, when a foreigner, especially a high-profile individual like Khalifa, engages in illegal behavior in another country, they are subject to the local legal system. What does this actually mean for Wiz Khalifa in the fact that he got indicted today?
Anywhere you travel, algoriters, whether it's you're in New York and you travel to Los Angeles, right, or to Ohio, Mississippi, leave the country, go to Canada, Mexico, take a big trip, go to Japan, Dubai, right? You are subjecting yourself to the rules, laws, and regulations of that country, city, and locale. So what's cool in LA may not be cool in Canada or Dubai. Sometimes you see people who are famous like Wiz Khalifa be stuck in these jurisdictions because of certain behaviors that are legitimately allowed in other jurisdictions, but not allowed in the other one. In this instance, Wiz Khalifa goes and does a concert in Romania. Part of his lyrics, part of everything is that he smokes marijuana. That's part of who he is, right?
Right.
Fine in LA, right? Fine in Vegas. But when you're in a country that has strictly outlawed that, you got a problem. So because of his admission really on Instagram and the things they saw him, they indicted him with possession of marijuana. In Romania, this crime is punishable by a number of years. Years. So the key for him is they let him free. His lawyer got him out of jail. So he doesn't have to go back. Just don't go back to Romania. Don't go back to Romania. Don't ever go back to Romania. Don't, for any reason, for the rest of your life,
nothing.
Go to France. Don't go to Romania. You step in Romania, even if they say we have a layover in Romania, catch the next flight. Do not go.
Don't do that.
Don't at all.
All right. So does he have to answer? Does he have to answer the indictment? Does he have to answer the indictment in Romania? Or if he doesn't, because he's not in the country anymore, can he just like write it off?
I don't know Romanian law as far as what's called personal jurisdiction, right? So if you're in the states have a different thing. All of us have had a friend who's been extradited because of a warrant, right? And in some places like Julian Assange, he was in Ecuador, they'll send you back. But Romania is not going to come over here and pick up Wiz Khalifa. The United States is not going to extradite Wiz Khalifa back to Romania for a joint. That ain't happening, right? So he should be okay. Now, bouncing around Europe, I don't know, man. You better check with your immigration and your criminal defense lawyer before you take those European tours, because you stumble upon some Lithuanian, Bulgarian country that we never heard of, Latvia, and all of a sudden they show up at the back of your place. You could be Brittany Griner, man. You could be in a Brittany Griner situation.
Ooh, yeah, they got that handsome lady.
For real.
That
put her in that jailhouse. They put that handsome lady in that jailhouse.
That's scary.
And going back to college, I think Dallas Austin was stuck somewhere one time. And I think someone else, I heard Floyd Mayweather was stuck in Dubai with Saudi Arabia for a few days last year.
I don't know. I don't think Floyd drinks or smokes.
Something else
happened. Oh, yeah. Usually boxers don't.
Yeah, I don't think he drinks or smokes. So we got to say allegedly on that one. Okay. All right, everybody.
Red One, and Your Honor, just for like an aside, I don't know what my mother was concerned about when I was a child, but she made me watch that movie, Midnight Express. Did y'all see that movie? It's an old movie about these college students who went overseas and they were carrying dope back. And they got arrested, and so for the algoriters, you need to pay attention to Attorney Ross's words. I know sometimes y'all don't listen to him because but in this case, he is telling you the truth. Do not be like Wiz. And I love Wiz. Wiz is from Pittsburgh. He's my brother's friend, but in this case, he was wrong. Would have looked up the rules before he went on stage, flagrantly violating their laws.
Yes. You know what I thought so fun? That was funny when I was in undergrad, and Shaitan and I went to the same undergrad. She was there at the same time I was there. A lot of the flossy glossy chicks to make extra money would transport. They would fly around. They would take packages to stuff, like to places to make money. But anyway, I got off track there. So that wasn't you though, right, Shaitan?
It was not me. Yes. To the extent that I was flossy and glossy, it was because my parents loved me. It was not I was transporting.
All right, everybody, we're going to go to the questions now. This is the part of the show where we answer the jury's questions. First up, something's in my eye. Danielle Cameron says, is there a dummy rapper starter kit? I know that's right, Danielle. Listen, we are teaching you guys the laws, so you need to tell those dummy rappers to come check out the Court of Public Opinion. Roxy J, who's this rapper? We've been trying to figure out the same thing, Roxy J. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Danielle Cameron, again, says they rap about money, so you can't hire someone to carry you the weapons. Yep, we talked about that. Right? Let's see. DES17. DES17. Do you think these people share tips on how to do this?
Get locked up for weapons.
Is she talking about maybe the fact that the Diddy prosecutor was coordinating with the civil attorneys?
Yeah. I feel they do, because I feel like these charges are very similar and they were very quick. Because if this is the case, I feel like Epstein should have gotten sex trafficking.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And he did not.
Without a doubt.
Right. And he had a whole bunch of underage activity. So I'm so confused about all that. So
his client list might have been a little different than Diddy's list allegedly, though. I mean, let's just be honest, it might be a little different.
What I think these cases are showing, I don't know if they're sharing tips on how to do it, but it is showing that, there's an energy with prosecutors now that are designed to kind of smoke this out. I was at a dinner last night with a group of lawyers, and there's a large firm, the largest firm in the country actually, has as one of their causes is sex trafficking and trying to eradicate it around the world. So I don't know if potentially their efforts in this space is causing it to be prosecuted more often, but it is definitely something for which tolerance is not being done. And the other thing is, for these rich, and for the purposes of this, they're men, right? For these rich men who...
Of course they are, Sean. Of course they're men.
I'm telling you, the ones we've been talking about, if you got some women who got caught up, Attorney Ross, bring it. Anyway, for these men who are rich men who are accused of engaging in this illicit activity. Doesn't anybody have game anymore? Like, what happened to sweet?
No, nobody wants.
I agree. I give you that.
Nobody wants to do all that no more, Shaitan. There's no courting. You better listen. You really do need to dust off your cigarettes. Baby, if you think you're gonna get dinner and movies, Simone, you better tell her.
Exactly.
No way. Come on.
Let's keep it going, guys. Let's keep it going.
Right, courtship may be a week these days, Shaitan. So I hate to tell you.
Man, I long for the good old days.
You better get it together. Okay, back to the jury. All right, just for the I don't know what that is. Well, I want to taste you. All right. It's always up for a good time. Don't for a good time. It's been a minute too.
The judge.
Show us your face. Show
But
us
look,
your avatar.
Look, we gotta. What I'm gonna have my lawyers here draw up. NDA ain't gonna work, especially if it's criminal.
It's already been disclosed. You can have a non-disclosure when there's already disclosure.
How about I got. How about I take the drug, knock me out, and then they take advantage of me.
I'm sure they'd be happy too.
All right. Miss Bell says, why do Black people have low credit scores? Well, Miss Bell, I don't know if you're serious about that or not, but there's been multiple stories, documentaries about how we've been discriminated against so much that it forces us to have low credit scores. So it's not just because there is a subgroup that don't pay bills or late on bills. It's also instances in which we were discriminated in order to achieve higher credit scores. All right, Danielle, did anybody want to add to that?
I was going to say, we don't
time to
go.
go.
My dad's a banker, and one of his things is that Black people underappreciate how credit scores are developed and what they can mean for your life. And so a lot of it is ignorance. People were doing some dumb stuff back in the day. Oh, I'm just not going to pay that bill, or I'm not going to do this, and don't realize it follows them for life.
Right. All right, Danielle Cameron, is it the baby oil that always gave Diddy on go? He may put Viagra out of business if the baby oil doing all of that. You're right. Okay, Miss Mobetta, when are celebrities going to learn that they have to follow the rules of the country that they visit? That's a good question, because it seems to me like if I was visiting a country before I do something illegal, I'll ask my manager, hey, is it legal here? Good question, Miss Mobetta. All right, and Daniel Cameron, last one. Don't these rappers have someone in the crew whose job is to carry the weapons and check the legalities in the country? It should, but obviously it's not happening. All right, everybody, this is part of the show where the judge, and the attorneys give our verdict on the cases. All right, first up, Polo G, is he guilty or not guilty of his felony weapon possession charge? Attorney Brian Ross, what say you?
Not guilty. I believe in the presumption of innocence.
This is his third offense. I'm going to let you, because you haven't been there.
Presumption of innocence, it would first and second would never be admissible.
But he was caught with the physical weapons, sir. Attorney Redwine, please help your colleague out. Guilty or not guilty? All right. Attorney Turner, guilty or not guilty?
He's guilty.
All right, I'm Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. Unfortunately, Polo G, you are guilty. And why do you keep doing it in the two states that gives you the least leverage and the least charges? The most charges. All right, next up, Michael Jeffries, former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch. Is he guilty or not guilty of sex trafficking and interstate prostitution? Attorney Ross, what say you?
He's guilty.
Attorney Simone Redwine.
Look at that plastic surgery. He did it.
Right. Attorney Shaitan Turner.
The face tells it all. He's guilty.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in the court of public opinion. And it's the injecting of the erection-induced medicine along with the poppers and muscle relaxers, sir. You're not getting out of this. I say guilty. Guilty is charged. All right, next up in the court of public opinion, we have Rocket Mortgage. Are they guilty or not guilty? We don't even have to do this one. They are guilty. And stop discriminating against people of color. Period. We're tired of it. We work hard. We want a part of the American dream, and we want access. So give us our freaking mortgage without all these bells and whistles and high interest rates. So you're guilty, Rocket Mortgage. All right, P. Diddy. Is P. Diddy guilty or not guilty? Attorney Simone Redwine.
I'm going to say guilty.
Attorney Ross.
Guilty.
Attorney Turner.
Yeah, Diddy. Guilty.
Yeah, this is Al, and I'm the judge here in Court of Public Opinion. It's so funny how we're going back and forth. This is going to get interesting as we get closer to the case. Last night, Monday night, we had a whole bunch of empathy for him, but not tonight. We're finding P. Diddy guilty. Guilty is charged for sexual assaulting another person. Next up, Wiz Khalifa. Is he guilty or not guilty of being smart and doing drugs in the wrong country? Attorney Ross?
He's guilty of doing drugs in the wrong country. He's very smart to have his lawyer get him out of jail and never go back.
Attorney Turner?
I mean, he tweeted. He said that he was up there on stage with a big gay joint. So, I mean, he's guilty.
Attorney Ross?
Guilty. For sure.
All right. Oh, Demonde H, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. And also thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. This is Al, and I'm the judge here in the Court of Public Opinion, and we're going to find Wiz Khalifa guilty, but smart, but guilty. All right, that concludes tonight's show. Session is now over. Have a good night.
All right. Now tell me about this man.